Alexa Evans, a bright-eyed college dropout, never imagined she would become one of the most famous TikTokers in the country. Living in Los Angeles, the city of dreams, her journey to fame began when a simple dance video went viral. From then on, her follower count exploded, and she quickly became a sensation. Her content ranged from dancing, lip-syncing, to motivational posts. People loved her authenticity. Every day, her notifications were flooded with comments like Queen and Inspo, and brands began lining up to collaborate. But as the fame grew, so did the pressure. Alexa's life became a blur of photo shoots, events, and constant social media updates. She moved into a luxurious downtown apartment with floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked the city skyline. Despite the glam, Alexa's personal life suffered. Her once close friends felt distanced from her, unable to relate to her new world of fame. She was always on, always performing for the camera. Her manager, Karen, constantly reminded her that the internet never sleeps. With sponsorships riding on her content, Alexa felt like she was on a treadmill she couldn't get off of. Fame had its perks, but it also came with a dark side. Alexa became the target of online trolls who nitpicked everything from her appearance to her personality. The pressure of maintaining her perfect online persona began to take a toll on her mental health. She started partying more, seeking an escape from the overwhelming expectations. It was at these parties that she met a group of influencers who seemed to have everything she wanted: fame, money, and a carefree attitude. They introduced her to a lifestyle of excess, but behind their smiles lay hidden motives. The new friends Alexa made seemed fun and rebellious at first. They encouraged her to be bold and adventurous with her content, pushing the boundaries of what was considered acceptable. Her TikToks became edgier, and while they attracted millions of views, they also attracted controversy. One of her new friends, Mason, a popular prankster, started filming risky pranks that skirted the line between humor and danger. Though Alexa hesitated at first, the thrill of more views and staying relevant pushed her into questionable decisions. During one of Mason's elaborate parties at a mansion in the Hollywood Hills, things took a dark turn. The influencers decided to film a prank involving fake firearms and a staged robbery, hoping it would go viral. But things spiraled out of control when a guest panicked and got seriously hurt trying to escape. Chaos ensued, and the police were called. Alexa, who was part of the group, found herself in the middle of the situation. The prank went too far, and now someone was in the hospital. As news of the prank spread, Alexa's image crumbled overnight. Social media turned on her, calling her reckless and irresponsible. Hashtags like "Cancel Alexa" began trending, and her brand deals were swiftly pulled. Even her longtime fans felt betrayed. The media painted her as the face of influencer privilege gone wrong. Every detail of the incident was picked apart, and Alexa's attempt to explain herself only seemed to make things worse. She started receiving hate messages and even threats. The day started like any other, but Alexa's world came crashing down when there was a loud knock on her apartment door. 3 police officers stood there with a warrant for her arrest. Her heart raced as they cuffed her wrists and led her outside in full view of neighbors and paparazzi. Her manager, Karen, called her frantically as she was taken into custody, trying to understand what went wrong. The charge was serious: reckless endangerment and conspiracy to commit assault due to her involvement in the dangerous prank. Her mugshot spread across every major media outlet. Alexa felt numb as she was escorted into the police station. The cold steel cuffs around her wrists were a stark contrast to the warmth of the city she once ruled. Her mind spun with fear and confusion. How had it come to this? As she was booked, fingerprinted, and photographed, the reality of the situation set in. Her mind replayed the party, the prank, and the moment everything spiraled out of control. Sitting in a holding cell, Alexa's thoughts shifted to her future. How would she recover from this? What would her millions of followers think? Would they believe she was framed, or had her reputation already been destroyed beyond repair? Across the city, her arrest made headlines. News vans parked outside her apartment building, and social media erupted with speculation. Some fans believed she was innocent, while others were convinced that fame had corrupted her. Celebrities and influencers weighed in, either distancing themselves from the scandal or using it to gain clout. As Alexa sat in the cold cell, she couldn't help but feel the walls of her once glamorous life closing in on her. The first night in jail was the longest of Alexa's life. Gone were the soft, plush pillows of her high-rise apartment. Instead, she had to settle for a thin, scratchy blanket and a hard metal bed. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, making it impossible to sleep. Other inmates looked at her with curiosity or disdain, recognizing her from the viral headlines. She was no longer the carefree TikToker dancing in front of a ring light. She was Alexa Evans, the influencer who might have ruined someone's life for the sake of views. Alexa kept to herself, trying to remain unnoticed, but it was impossible. Some of the women approached her, taunting her, while others wanted selfies or autographs. Alexa refused them all. She felt alone, abandoned by the world that once adored her. Her parents visited her the next morning, their faces filled with worry and disappointment. They tried to comfort her, but Alexa could see the fear in their eyes. They hired a top-tier lawyer to handle her case, but the odds weren't looking good. The prosecution had a strong case, and the media had already painted her as guilty. As Alexa awaited trial, the media coverage only intensified. Tabloid reporters camped outside the courthouse and jail, hungry for any detail about the case. Every day, new stories emerged, some real, most exaggerated or outright false. Commentators speculated on her guilt, dissecting her past TikToks and making her a symbol of influencer culture gone awry. Her TikTok account was temporarily banned, and her other social media platforms became battlegrounds of support and hate. The once bright-eyed girl who danced her way into fame was now the poster child for a public scandal. Every news outlet sensationalized the story, drawing in millions of views. Pundits called it the rise and fall of Alexa Evans, and her fans were left divided. Conspiracy theories emerged, with some claiming that Alexa was framed by her influencer friends, while others suggested it was all a PR stunt gone horribly wrong. Her parents, devastated by the public humiliation, avoided interviews and media appearances, but they couldn't escape the spotlight. Her lawyer, David Sterling, an aggressive and experienced attorney, promised to do everything in his power to clear her name. Yet, with every passing day, the world seemed more convinced of her guilt. The day of the trial finally arrived, and the courtroom was packed. Reporters, fans, and curious onlookers filled every seat. Cameras flashed outside the building, trying to catch a glimpse of Alexa in her somber courtroom attire. The once vibrant TikToker now appeared gaunt, with dark circles under her eyes and a stiff demeanor. Alexa's defense rested on proving she had no malicious intent during the prank, that she was just caught up in the chaotic nature of her influencer friends. David Sterling argued that she was merely a victim of bad decisions, influenced by people she trusted. The prosecution, on the other hand, painted a different picture. They claimed Alexa was a willing participant, one of the masterminds behind the stunt that had left someone seriously injured. Witnesses took the stand, each telling their version of events. Mason, the influencer who organized the prank, testified, trying to distance himself from Alexa. He claimed she knew exactly what was happening and was fully on board with the dangerous plan. Each word felt like a dagger to Alexa's heart. Mason, once her friend, was now throwing her under the bus to save his own skin. Midway through the trial, new evidence surfaced, a grainy video taken from the party. It showed Alexa trying to stop the prank, arguing with Mason and others about how dangerous it was. This could be the turning point in the case. But before the defense could introduce the video, it mysteriously disappeared from the evidence files. Someone didn't want it to see the light of day. Betrayed and devastated, Alexa realized that someone close to her had tampered with the evidence. Her lawyer demanded an investigation into the missing video, and whispers of corruption and cover-ups began to circulate. Meanwhile, former friends continued to speak out, twisting the narrative to protect themselves. The media ran with these new twists, creating a whirlwind of conspiracy theories and rumors. Despite the setbacks, David Sterling pressed forward, convinced that the truth would come out. Alexa, however, began to lose hope. Everyone she once trusted had turned on her, and it seemed like the system was rigged against her. The courtroom was tense as the jury returned from deliberation. The entire city seemed to be watching, with hashtags like Justice for Alexa trending worldwide. Alexa held her breath as the foreperson stood to deliver the verdict. But just as the judge was about to announce it, an unexpected disruption took place. A protester, claiming to have the missing video evidence, burst into the courtroom, causing chaos. The trial was momentarily halted as security swarmed the scene. The video was handed over to the judge, throwing the entire case into disarray. Would this be the proof that cleared Alexa's name, or was it another cruel trick designed to prolong her suffering? The courtroom disruption caused a media frenzy, but in the midst of the chaos, Alexa's lawyer advised her to lay low. As more questions about the missing video arose, new enemies emerged, and the trial dragged on. Unexpectedly, Alexa was granted temporary bail under strict conditions. However, that night, her life took another turn. Fearing for her safety and knowing that the people responsible for framing her were powerful, Alexa received an anonymous tip advising her to flee. With the help of an unlikely ally, a former influencer turned hacker, she planned an escape. No longer able to trust the system, she took matters into her own hands. Alexa fled into the underground world of LA, living in secret, changing her identity, and staying off the grid. The glamorous life she once lived was a distant memory. She found refuge in a community of people who had been similarly wronged by the justice system or the media. But even in hiding, she was determined to uncover the truth and expose the people who betrayed her. Through whispers in the underground, she discovered that Mason, her former friend, had ties to powerful elites who were pulling the strings behind the scenes. Alexa gathered evidence, recording every interaction, determined to clear her name and take down those responsible. Alexa was getting closer to uncovering the full truth, but her enemies were always one step ahead. Just as she was about to confront Mason and the hidden forces behind her downfall, a sudden twist threatened to derail her plans. The authorities were closing in, and her underground allies began to turn against her, afraid of the growing attention. On the run once again, Alexa found herself in a high-stakes chase across the city. The streets of LA, once a playground for her TikTok adventures, now became a maze of danger. But Alexa wasn't ready to give up, not until she exposed the full truth. The story ends with her continuing the chase, leaving viewers desperate for the next chapter in this never-ending saga. The story of Alexa Evans, the famous TikToker turned fugitive, continues to unfold, with new twists, betrayals, and revelations around every corner.